Welcome to Knackerbox Garage, a Scratchy Pants production. Well, there they all are. Well, there's 6 of them. So the Bonneville's all done. Paintwork is touched up. If you look from here and have the, where I am, the clutch cables over the lump, it only stands out a lot. But at least it won't rust. So she's ready to ride. The BSA, I did get that ready to go. When it warms up a little bit, I will try and get that one going. That'll be another video for us to enjoy. And then the other thing that I would like to, I'd maybe put, I really like these little indicators. They're super bright and neat and unobtrusive. These are pretty, those are pretty bright as well, but they're fugly as sin. So I may replace those. Anyway, next project is the Bash plate for the Bultaco, which is here. That's what it's going to be. I did pre-drill one of the holes, so the next thing to do is we're going to get the Ricky off the bench. It's listing to one side, but we'll get the Ricky off the bench. We've got the Bultaco up, and then I'll have a bit more room, or a little less room, and then we'll start on the Bultaco. But I think this could be the end of this episode. This is going to be embarrassing if it isn't, but I think this could be the end of this episode, so we could have a whole Bultaco only episode. Bultaco. I don't know why I said it like that. So we got the Bultaco on the bench. I manhandled the Rickman off, which is sitting there. So this is the old Bash plate, and I want to go a little bit higher. Probably do something similar to the show. Got the front holes there. Needs to curve and come back to about there. I've made these little discs. I plan to weld those in place to give me a pad so that I can like stand this off. This Bash plate wasn't for this bike. It's just been kind of poorly put together. I'll drill some holes in here to get some discs. I need like 3, and then I'll put them on the Bash plate to help it stand away from here. I don't really think there's anything else that I really need to do. The hardest thing I think I'm gonna do is be bending it. So it is my plan to put it in the vise with the I've got a big cylinder, big cylindrical bit of wood that I used when I made the silencer for the B44. It's around here somewhere. So I'll use that to pull a bend on it. I'll just manhandle it in the vise here. When I've got the shape about right, I can then put these bits on. And this is how I'm going to cut the holes, because that goes on there like that. So that works pretty well. I'll just clean the edges up so I can weld them on, and then just put a bolt through it and then weld them in place, just to give it a little bit of space off. One thing this will do is our taco here is losing a little bit of oily gloopy goodness, is dripping out the exhaust after a bit of a while. So I will be quite happy to have that, because it gets caught in the Bash plate, and then it's just a case of using it to ride around the backyard, which is the only reason I got it, which is stupid really, but hey, what can you do? Right, that's it. So I'm going to go to the drill press, cut a couple of disc holes, and then roughly mark where I want the bend on this with a marker pen, and we'll start bending and getting it roughly how we need it. And then once I've got it roughly how it should be, I'll then put some shape into it. I don't know whether I'm going to put like side pieces on I don't know whether I'll do that. I'll have to get the shape right and see, because I would kind of like to put some form of dish protection on the cases, because this is a pretty little bike. Anyway, there we go. So we're going to put some bends in this, and maybe I should have put the bends in it first before I drilled the holes. But probably the smart way to do it, but I've done it this way. So here is a rather large curvy piece of wood, hand turned by my good friend Al Green. Here is my vise. Here is my bash plate. Curving starts there and goes to about there. This is flat. Put it in the vise, get the first curve down roughly level with the bit of wood. Give it a pinch. Check it for square. Using your eyeball. Give it a bit more of a pinch. Lean back. Give it a pull. Yeah, it's gone nowhere. Maybe I should go the other way and give it a push. Yeah, that's probably better. Has it gone anywhere? Yeah, it's got a little, probably can't see it, it's a little. So let's go the other way. Man, I'm not very good at getting this straight. And give it a push. A little bit of a kink. We all like it a little bit kinky. How many people knew that was coming? So the whole point of this now is to put the curve in and then get it to mirror the frame. I'll try and do the best I can. I'm probably going to have to clamp it now on the workbench and just do it that way. Or that way. But I'll try and get the curve in there. That's probably a bit tight, but we can pull it back a bit. And then once I've got it close to the shape of the bike, I'll then offer it up and we'll see how well I'm doing. So because obviously I can't get this all the way round, I flip the pole over, or the roundy bit, and then put it in the vise with a piece of wood behind it. And now I'm just occasionally moving it, giving it a pull, moving it, giving it a pull, and I'll just do another one so you can see what I'm doing. And that may be enough already, but so we turn that over. There's the bike. Yeah, it needs to be a bit tighter actually. Well, what a surprise. So we'll tighten them up in the middle. Let's go that way a little bit. And then I'll possibly, let's see if we can do it right now. Don't want to be that tight there, so flip it around. Yeah, I'm a bit tight. So I'm just going to try and flatten this out. You get the idea. We'll try and a bit far. getting there. But like I say, well, I'll just straighten this out and get it close and then bring it back. I know everybody loves the close-ups of work, so here's me drilling holes. Oh, that jumped. That was good. So I'm just drilling these out too, and that one isn't a very good one. There we go, that's it. Drilling out to 3/8, even though I'm going to use metric bolts. Okay, so here's a finished disc. Countersunk both sides. 3/8 hole that I'll put an 8mm bolt through, but that's roughly the right size. I have 4 of those, and they will be. What I'll do is with the bash plate, I'll bolt them through. I'll do the first 2 first, put a couple of tacks on, get it right, and then put some tape somewhere along here and mark the rear holes, or the rear mounting holes, and then as far back as the bash plate needs to go. And then it'll be cut the shape, which I'll figure out which side I want to do, and I'll probably put a curve in. So I've got some French curves maybe, and then I'll go out to the bandsaw, we'll cut the shape, smooth off the rough edges, then bolt it on and it's done. That's roughly it. So let me position. I've got to find a 3/8 bolt to bolt these through. Then I'll get the TIG into aluminum welding mode, and I'll video me TIG welding these little spacer discs on. So here's the first disc, bolted it in place. I've taken the tape off because that will just get hot and ugly. So I'm just going to put a couple of little tacks up there, a little tack down here. Need to warm this up because it's a big heat sink, and the aluminum transmits heat really, really well. So I'm going to get the electric heater, wherever it is, my little yellow, the fancy hairdryer, this thing. Going to get the heat gun on it and warm it up so that it's hot, and there'll be less work for the TIG to do. And then the hotter I get it, and I don't know why I'm holding it like this because the thing isn't on, but once I've got it nice and hot, then I can, there's less work for the TIG to do in warming up the metal to create a weld puddle. So a lot of big words like weld and hot used there, but I will get that, I'll get that warm, get it to a point of where I can TIG it and then bring it back, okay? At least I'll try and remember. I'm not going to put you through 10 minutes of that. Alright, so there's 2 pads welded in. I do have to keep reminding myself that this is a bash plate on a trials bike, not a work of art. So it's function more than anything else. So now what I need to do is get 2 fixing bolts, or 2 suitable bolts to bolt it here. Sorry, there. This is where it mounts, through these 2. And then I can mark out and figure out what goes on here. So I've got some mounting bolts there, or mounting points there. So I can just try and mark those. I can measure how far they are apart and get a rough idea. And yeah, that'll be it. So I'll put some masking tape on. I'll probably have a couple of goes at this, but when it's ready to mark, I'll bring you back. All right, so drastic design change. Couldn't find mushroom headed bolts, so I got countersunk ones, which means that I now need little buttons on the outside so I can countersink and hide the screw, which is why I'm welding these on. So I'm just going to finish going up. This barely fits in the vise. I've had to take one of the soft jaws off because it won't fit. So it was like that much too much. So I'm gonna probably sand the sides of this. Well, that edge is gonna get cut back anyway. So I'm just letting the welder cool down. Probably want to sharpen the tick tip because that looks a bit rounded. And I accidentally dipped it, but Anyway, music care of the artist formerly known as Terence Trent D'Arby. I don't want to murder his name, so I'm not going to try and attempt to say it from memory. So here we go. It's very bloody hot, and I've forgotten how much rod you have to keep forcing into the weld pool because they just disappear. So before. That was a foot long before I did those 2, and that's how long it is. I was gonna say, no, we won't talk about length and things. We'll get to a whole different, moving on. All right, so I put the bolts through. I did flatten it off. Some of the welds were a little bit high, so I just put it on the belt sander and just flattened it off. I bolted it up tight. The curve's a little too tight. I may have a bit of a twist in it, and I need some spacers to go under here because it should sit around there. So I need to make some spacers up to go through here, possibly some nylon blocks. I don't know whether I can stack a bunch of these. I don't know whether I want to weld up a stack of those. I could, I mean, maybe a couple of these if I cut a few more of those. Maybe. So that's that, and then I want to put I've got to put the curve in here, and then on the other side, this is the gearbox drain plug just here. I need to protect that. So when I come down here with the cut, or with the shape, and I may just make it round. What I want to do is put a flare side on it to go over that sort of an angle and make this a little more rigid, protect that, and then maybe run that down to about there. I like the idea of the bash plate being long and protecting the frame rails, so where it is pretty good. I just need to pull it down a little bit, and I am pulling it, but I probably need to straighten it out a little bit in the vise and get it square because it's obviously a little on the piss. So yeah, a few little things to do. I'm going to research plastic spacers for there. I could put a stack of those together if I had a lathe. I'd cut up some round bar. Maybe I can buy some aluminum spacers from the hardware store, like 1/2 inch or something. 1/2 inch or 3/4 would work, but I think they do nylon ones, so that's my preference. Give it a little bit of cushioning, maybe. Anyway, we'll see. So this is still pretty bloody hot actually. So I'll clean that up a little bit, and yeah, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else to do. Then it's KTM time. Jean-Michel Jarre's Oxygen playing in the background. Another 80s classic from me. So if there are any girls watching, no, I can't even say it. Scratch that.